Joan, I know you're an amazing coach, definitely, and you've had so many clients over the years. How long have you been doing this, by the way?
As a professional,
Yes,
for
professional.
4 years, but I've been in the personal development space for 8 years actively.
Okay.
Because that was about 2014 May when I decided to register a company called Imagine Me Africa. So,
and I'll ask you about Imagine Me at some point.
Yes.
So tell us, what are some of the success stories? Because if someone is looking to hire a coach, what are some of the benefits they can look to have?
If we are going to look at benefits,
yes.
I mean, at some point you asked me about coaching and I was telling you the International Coaching Federation definition.
Yeah.
I think one of the benefits is exactly touched upon in our definition of coaching, because we are partnering with you in a thought-provoking manner and creative process. So the major benefit, because I told you I'm your thinking partner in that moment, is the fact that I'm going to challenge your thought process and I'm also going to challenge your creative process. So that's the biggest benefit, because it's not a how-to. You know, one of the things that I like about the coaching, the kind of coaching that I'm doing, is the fact that we are not under pressure to solve for anything, because there's nothing to solve.
Okay.
People know these things. Let me use an easy example in our market of Uganda, the subject of money. Everybody knows earn money, save money, invest. The question is, why aren't you doing those things?
Okay.
So that has to get into your wiring to understand.
Why am I not doing what I'm supposed to do?
Yes, what is, not even so much the why for somebody to come into a defensive mode, but what are the blockers?
Okay.
What is it that we can unlock and see, put the things on the table and begin making sense of what is happening? Because once you see that, then you're going to say, oh, now I understand. I understand where this is coming from. And especially, I think I really love coaching leaders because, you know, a leader is somebody, by the time they're coming for coaching, they've been there, done that.
Yeah.
Probably 10 years, 15 years of doing something.
They're at the top of their industry.
They're top of their industry. They're not looking for technical answers.
Okay.
They really want you as a thinking partner.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the scenarios, one of the leaders that actually stands out for me in the banking sector. Well, the financial services sector is one of those sectors that I really serve quite a lot. And this leader, and the reason this story stands out, it's the one story where my client got their answer in the first 5 minutes. Yes, of our conversation.
And maybe for people to understand, usually coaching is long term. You're going 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. So 5 minutes getting your answer is really a big deal. Yeah, so share more.
Yeah, and incidentally, this client had signed up for 6 months, and we continued with the 6 month process, you know, because he wanted to go through this.
Yeah.
But what was interesting, that when this client started talking about, sharing his story, he spoke about the mom. And in that moment, intuitively, when I was trying to make sense of what is this all about that this client is sharing, I remember just sharing back and saying, oh, it sounds to me like you really admire the value of selflessness in your mom. And you should have seen his face bright up because he said, this is it. And so it brought out a couple of things, because he had never looked at selflessness as a value that he had for him. Yeah. And this is a value that he had espoused from the time he was young, because he grew up seeing his mother being selfless. And he kept on thinking there must be something that somebody should be giving back, And incidentally, for this leader, at the time, they were having a restructuring process that was going on in his bank and in his particular department. And he thought, my goodness. So he was having a struggle in terms of how was he going to support. Because the selflessness person in him was making him view himself as not being empathetic.
You're failing people. You're
not helping people. Yes. And so in that moment, it became a light bulb, and he said, now I know how I'm actually going to support my team members.
Yes.
So you see.
So he was having a conflict within himself that you helped him uncover.
Yes. And for me, that was beautiful, because it shows you that you don't go to coaching to say, show me how to do ABC. Of course, 80% of the clients I mean, you can, as you can already testify, they will come with, tell me what are the steps.
Yeah.
Because probably it's our education system, because the education system has always taught us things, step 1, step 2, step 3.
Then come back, evaluate, go back.
Evaluate, go back. But coaching is more than that.
We are thinking together.
We are thinking together, uncovering things together. And for me, I'm such a firm believer in letting the natural process flow instead of having steps. Okay, step 1, have we ticked this box? Have we ticked this box? Yes, it's going to give some results, but the question is, are these results sustainable? Because you're looking at coaching as a learning process, that when I learn something about myself, if you've discovered this value of selflessness, I'm sure that leader approaches life totally in a different way.
Yes. That reminds me a discussion I had with another coach, and it was about finances. And when I understood, where I was coming from to do the things I was doing, I'm at a much better place. I plugged some loopholes there. So, Joan, there's a story you earlier told me that really caught my attention. If we're speaking to the day-to-day individual contributor at the workplace, someone who wants to grow themselves beyond and offer more than what they're currently offering, how can coaching help them? Why don't you share the success story of that TV presenter?
Yeah.
And how your journey enabled her to get to where she wanted to be?
Oh, wow. Victoria Bagaya, if you come across this recording by any chance, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to always share your story, because it's one of those stories that that I worked on earlier on in my coaching journey. I met Victoria works with NBS, and I met her at a time when, as a young professional, she was trying to figure out things for herself. And one of the things that she really wanted was to be a Prime News anchor. I mean, yeah. Who doesn't want to be on Prime News?
Suits, nice makeup.
Nice makeup, everything.
Good English.
Everything, yeah. And we embarked on a journey. I kind of support women in news. And that's the program on which I was partnered with Victoria Bagaya. And when she came on board, because we support people to come up with 5-year career roadmaps. And so here we are, and the 5-year career roadmap is putting, I need to be on Prime News in 5 years. Yes. And of course, I listened to the reasons behind that. Yeah. And we embarked on that, like I said, because they are conversations. Yes. So actually, this is a perfect illustration. This is occurring to me now. It's a perfect illustration of what happens when all you have done is crammed steps. That if my client comes in, I'm going to ask them, what is your goal? What are the steps? So you're here, what will take you there? That is the typical way that we want to approach things. And we are supporting the person. But the curiosity in a coach, my curiosity was around understanding what is it that makes Victoria place this Prime News in 5 years. And she gave me her reasons, and I asked her, is this a standard? Is this corridor talk? I don't remember exactly how I put it, but it was the hearsay. Yeah. And I said, what if we packed all those things and just approached this process with just understanding what has to happen for you? Yeah. So the long story short, after we dealt with her blockers, the beliefs that she had developed around this, in exactly 4 months of our 7-month journey, she became a Prime News.
Are you allowed to share some of the blockers, or that's confidential?
No, I think that's confidential because, I didn't ask for permission for that. For the blockers, but at least, but I mean, the general idea is that there were blockers, and the beliefs were kind of strong. The beliefs were strong. Yeah. So once she overcame those beliefs and instituted a new way of looking at things, in 4 months the opportunity popped up. I mean, the thing here is that because coaching puts you in a state where you're just going to be ready for the opportunities that you're likely to undertake, I guess there's what we call the law of attraction. Yes. The universe responds to you.
Opportunities show up.
The opportunities show up. Wow. You have had those things that when the student is ready, the teacher will be ready. Yes. And when the teacher is ready, the student is ready. That's exactly what happens in the coaching space.
Wow. Okay, so what do you hope to achieve in the next 5 years, 3 years? And do you know the things that are blocking you, the barriers that you have? Perhaps those are the reasons you should see a coach. So, Joan, I'm going to ask you one last testimony. I think you should share a little bit about, again, the Centenary Bank story. I know you have permission for that because that's a high-level leader. Because we are thinking coaching is not just for the typical employee, but also the senior leaders. And you've said you love working with them a lot. How did you help, and what were the success stories there?
Well, I have a number of
Yes.
stories.
Yes.
Like I said, for me, the banking sector is one of that's where I've had my client.
People.
I've had an opportunity of being kind of a talent pipeline coach, if I may put it that way, a leadership coach for ABSA. Bank. I've done some coaching sessions for people that undertake the CEO apprenticeship program through, connected to them through Strathmore, a university business school.
Okay.
And one of the leaders that I worked with, and this is a very recent scenario, and I actually asked for permission because I just enjoyed her story.
Yeah.
Solomon, who is the current general manager in charge of human resources in Centenary Bank. I've had opportunities of being her coach, and when she was reflecting, she said, for her, one of the things that she's found very helpful in terms of coaching is for her as a leader to just have that space where she backstops.
Okay.
And just have an opportunity to reflect. When you think about a typical leader, I mean, if you're a leader out there and you're listening, watching this, you know what happens with you. You're always the source of answers for so many different things. So there is no time for you to get back and just reflect. And I think what Solomon mentioned is the fact that, this is an opportunity for you to actually reflect and see things through a lens that you've not considered before, just because somebody is listening to you and helping you process your thoughts. When we come and sit here, you've thought through your program, but you do not know exactly what you're going to say until you utter it.
Yes, that is true.
Yes, until you utter
and the direction can just go anywhere. Yes.
And when you utter that, that's the opportunity that we have as coaches. I will tell you that one of the greatest muscles we are supposed to build as coaches is just listening. Pause. Don't be in a hurry to make sense of what somebody is saying, because that's not your job. Then you're doing the heavy lifting for them. I love the analogy of a gym, that when you get a client and put them in a gym, you walk them around the gym, okay? But in order for them to have that six-pack, they have to put in the work. I'm not going to do your push-ups for you.
You're going to lift that.
Yes. You saw me. I came in here with my lemon water. You can have all these things that the teacher will tell you, take your lemon water and all that. But guess what? If you don't take that water, it's not going to help you. So if you find yourself as a coach that you're in the mood of giving answers, you're denying your client the ability to lift their weights. You're doing the heavy lifting, and therefore you're not supporting your client.
You're not helping them. It's funny you said that. Recently we interviewed some rugby players, and they were telling us we wanted to see what their coaches were doing with them. They said, our best players, they come early, they do some laps before we show up, they do the work by themselves. So that's quite interesting. Wow. So thank you for those wonderful examples. If someone is still in doubt, I'm sure they can see the real life stories of what coaching can do for them.